Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast, aka CTP, in association with TheLibertyBeacon.com, and I am your host, Joseph M. Lenard, and that's Lenard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. I really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show. Hello, everybody. I know I've said it before, probably will say it again at some point. Indeed, this is going to be one of those very different kind of shows, and you'll understand why in a minute. But I dare say, if you get the chance, it's best if you go to BitChute, Brighteon, Rumble, or YouTube at JLenardDetroit channel and see this via the video behind the scenes sneak peek version. Now, this show is titled, I'm going to keep the title. See the notes here, printed the LibertyBeacon.com version that will be appearing. How Stupid Have Americans Become? Part 1 of 2 parts. Okay, so I'm going to stray from a lot of what would be in part 1 of part 2 at TheLibertyBeacon.com, because indeed, I just said, right, there's going to be a part 2 coming, but there's a lot of very important election 2024 stuff in here. So if I had room here, which I don't, between my couch, I'm going to lift up the green screen. See the ugly couch back there? If you're viewing on the video, you saw part of the ugly can't talk again. Part of the ugly couch showing through there when I lifted up my green screen, which allows me to project my wonderful show image, ChristiTutionalist Politics, up on the background there, because I don't have a professional studio. Certainly can't afford to go to a professional studio. But at any rate, yeah, get one of those in early. A lot of important election stuff coming up, but since there will be a How Stupid Have Americans Become part 2, which I'm looking. Part 2 will air as planned now, November the 2nd, Saturday, November the 2nd, right before the November election. So I'll cover more of the specific How Stupid Have Americans Become political aspects in that show. But if I had the room, I was starting to say that I could literally get down on my knees and beg you. I'm not above begging. I indeed am figuratively begging you, since I don't have the room to show you me literally get down on my knees to beg you. Please, 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 of all the episodes, you need to go to TheLibertyBeacon.com to see How Stupid Have Americans Become part 1 of 2, because I'm going to go down other tangents on this show just because some other things have indeed come up. And I thought of something that I want to share with you that happened actually 2 years ago. But first, we had a Upper Downriver, Michigan Right to Life meeting today. I'm the webmaster for Upper Downriver, Michigan Right to Life website. I manage that and the Taylor Republican Club website. I used to manage the Michigan 12th Congressional District Republican Committee website, but now after redistricting, of course, all the districts are different. I don't do that anymore. I used to do the newsletter for them. So all of those are usually in like the footer of my emails referencing people to those things. But one of the things was at the meeting today, it was shown, if you're looking on video, you see me ruffling papers here on my couch. I'm digging for these things here so I can show you, but obviously for benefit of the transcript, I will have to vocalize it too, and for the audio versions of the show. I'm holding here the Upper Downriver Right to Life minutes of September 5, 2024 meeting that I missed. Something came up. I had an interview to do about my book. I had to skip the last month's meeting. But as part of the minutes, it was denoted under new business from last time, item E, Bob Badeau offered yard signs for $20 each, with $5 going to Upper Downriver Right to Life for our election efforts. The red sign with the white lettering, and I will hold it up for you to read on the behind the scenes video in a second. Red sign with white lettering says, I am Christian. God would not want me to vote for Marxist, communists, or baby killers. Well, if that doesn't sum up this show about dealing with the Bible in full context and voting biblically, I don't know what does, right? We've talked about these issues, the difference between community, freedom via free will, individualism based on God's given us free will, individual rights and individual responsibilities versus the warped, bastardized communism, which is by force and by not free will and individualism, but collectivism, and by force, not your free will, and not charity, but theft and redistribution. But I'm going to hold up that sign. This is a mock-up of what the yard sign looks like, right? I am Christian. God would not want me to vote for Marxist, communists, or baby killers. And there's, two crosses on there. One would be good. 3 for the trilogy would be better, but, I didn't get a chance to talk to Bob about a sign before he made them. I would have made that artistic design difference. But I wanted to bring that up since it came up at the Right to Life meeting today. I thought it was more important to go into that as a kind of a side item. One of the other things that came up at the Right to Life meeting was for the election, us to volunteer, and I did. We got these postcards. For those benefit of the transcript and the audio, that say, pray for Michigan, vote by November 5th. And this happens to be from the Catholic Vote Organization. Well, you've heard me say, I hope, over and over, this is not a Catholic show, or a Lutheran, or a Protestant, or a Methodist, or a Baptist, or Adventist, or whatever brand, flavor, sect of Christianity, but Christianity in general and as a whole. But indeed, I was born and raised Catholic, but as you've heard me say on other shows, Pastor Richard Clark Dietering says, I am clearly not your normal average Catholic because I've studied all the other Bibles. I've studied Islam. I've studied Buddhism. I've studied whatever, right? To me, that strengthens my faith by knowing what those other things are that are out there. Doesn't weaken it. Pray for Michigan by November 5th, Catholic vote. Again, happen to have been born and raised Catholic, so obviously I can say, as they want us to say, fellow Catholic, in this important election, I encourage you to vote in support of life and family values. Together, we can build back a Michigan that respects and protects life at every stage. vote. I'm changing their script a little bit. They want us to say, thank you for voting your values. I'm going to change that because it's less writing and can fit on these postcards better that are all pre-addressed to people that we will then mail out. Cast values votes. Another way of saying vote biblically. And in fact, I think maybe I'll print up some labels from Alison Lukowski, rest in peace, who created the Vote Biblically organization, and print her Vote Biblically logo on some labels and also put those labels on here too. But the idea is that we handwrite these so that they're personal. They want us to put thank you for voting your values. It's shorter. I'm going to say it's basically the same thing. Cast values votes. I'll put extra stickers, vote biblically. And then these postcards, after a bunch of us handwrite some, will go out to people. I just thought I'd mention that. Again, it's not about Catholic. It's about Christian in general. And these things, all these things we can agree on that are in all our different flavors and brands of Bibles that we should be adhering to if we are real Christians, not fake Christians who want to pull render unto Caesar out of the Bible, out of its full context of other scriptures that put it into context. Render unto Caesar being probably the third most warped, distorted, and twisted scripture in the entire Bible, only to Matthew 7, which we've discussed, is condemn not, lest ye be condemned, for final judgment is for the Lord. We are to give grace and allow people a chance at redemption before final judgment, because the Bible has 12 plus other scriptures that tell us how to judge, when to judge, where to judge. Judge biblically, as well as, again, voting biblically, right? Judge those who want to represent us biblically and therefore vote biblically. We have to judge them. The Bible says to judge. How to judge? To judge always biblically. Not have a double standard. Not be hypocrites, right? Remove the log from our own eye. Judge on the same set of standards. Hold ourselves accountable and others to the same standards. And then the other one is, we've talked about, thou shalt not murder innocents. Exodus 22:2 alone talks, thief in the night dealt the fatal blow. The person is not guilty of murder, because that's talking about what? The basis of our self-defense laws. The criminal intruder breaks in, unless if you're pumping, if you got a magazine, an extended magazine, and you pump all 30 bullets into them, then you're beyond self-defense, as discussed in the God and Guns episodes. If not intending to kill them, just trying to stop them, trying to repel them, to get them to leave your home, they are struck a fatal blow, you have killed them, but you are not guilty of murder. That's why it's properly, from the Latin, Aramaic, Greek, and Hebrew, thou shalt not murder innocents, which obviously applies to murdering children in the womb, which I'm not going to go down that road here, but yeah, the 14th Amendment aside, the 14th Amendment alone establishes that right to life. But let's forget that. 200 plus years of legal precedent. If you murder a woman and a child in the womb, you are charged with and normally found guilty of double homicide, double murder. That has long ago, hundreds of years ago, long before the 1970s and Roe v. Wade, established the right to life of that baby, that human child in the womb. Never in science has it been shown that a human woman is given birth to anything else. There is no scientific evidence to say, well, first it's an amoeba, then, it's a fish, then it becomes an amphibian, then it becomes a chimp, and then through the magic of coming through the birth canal, then and only then it actually becomes a human child. That's ridiculous, and everyone understands that, but they pretend it's not a human. The same argument Democrats use to keep blacks as slaves. They aren't really human. The same argument. There's that on abortion. I don't want to go beyond that. And then there's the whole life of the mother thing. Yeah. Life of the mother, rape and incest that the left insists is the majority of all abortions is less than 1% of all abortions. 99% plus are convenience. They're using it as birth control and reproductive rights. No, that's left twisting language, of course, as always. Contraception. You have multiple forms and they are all inexpensive. You have pills, you have insertion devices, and there are, condoms for the male. So you've got 3 forms of your reproductive rights you could engage in to prevent reproduction. Your reproductive rights end when reproduction begins and there is a human child involved. And the other thing, again, not to make this all about abortion, right? It's not a part of the woman, right? It's not her kidney. It's not her lung. It's not her heart. It's not her liver. It is another entity that is in her womb. It has its own DNA. It may have a separate gender from the female. It may be a male human child there. So it has its own blood type, which may be different than the mother's. Its own DNA, which is a combination of the mothers and fathers and generations before, DNA strains, its own unique, its own fingerprints, its own, of course, eventual heartbeat. Well, and others may say, well, it's not living and breathing. Well, no, it's not, it can't breathe in the womb. It's not drawing and exuding breath through the mouth, the nostrils, and into and out from the lungs. It can't while in the womb developing, gestating. It does, however, have life-fulfilling oxygen flowing through its body and brain. So even before the heartbeat, the brain is receiving oxygen and functioning as it grows. Now, all mammals are that way. A tree, of course, is different. It's the opposite. It breathes in CO2 and exudes oxygen. A tree, wood, hard, right? But yet, through the miracle of life, the miracle of the cycles of life and this planet that God created, it breathes in CO2 and exudes oxygen, part of the circle of life, providing oxygen that we need when, after born, we breathe in oxygen and exude CO2. But while in the womb, that doesn't mean it's not getting oxygen and the brain isn't working. That's called the I am having a mental block, as you could probably tell here, but the tube from the mother to the baby that transfers nutrients, transfers blood circulation, transfers oxygen to the child and to the child's brain that is a human life in the body. It is not. It is in her womb. It is not her kidney. You want to give your kidney away? Go ahead. That's your body. You want to give away part of your liver? Go ahead. You can do that. That is your body autonomy. That child is not your body part. So it's not your body, your choice. It is another body. It is another person. And that doesn't magically any different before and after birth. It's a human life. And again, double homicide precedent says that. And again, Roe v. Wade, as even Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, didn't establish a right of an abortion. It was a activist, idiotic ruling based on privacy. Okay, well, you leftist morons want to talk about equity all the time. Okay, so according to Roe v. Wade, I demand my equity. I should have a right to kill you in the privacy of my basement, chop up your body parts, and sell them off like Planned Slaughterhood does. Now, the average normal person understands, well, obviously, you can't do that, which is also applies to the child. There's no privacy right. Your right ends at the life of that child. My rights end at the rights of my fist end at your face, as the saying goes. I can't assault you. That isn't my choice. Even if we're in private, I am assaulting you. I am violating your rights, and abortion is murder. It violates that child's rights. I know I've really gone off the handle here and gone down a bunch of different rabbit holes, but as I've said before, as you know, all these issues cross-relate, right? The issues all touch one another. So the privacy ruling, even RBG said, was indeed not creating abortion rights. Lower activist courts did that, and RBG said she knew Chicago University law, Roe was going to be overturned eventually because the privacy dodge wasn't a ruling on the actual right of the life of the child, the 14th Amendment, the double homicide precedent. So we all knew this day was coming, but the left never is willing to deal in reality. Again, that argument, blacks weren't actually humans, so they could be held as slaves. Child in the womb isn't really a human, it's a fish or something until it comes through the birth canal and magically becomes a human child then. Until then, you can kill it. It's nonsense. It's idiotic. And again, the whole living, breathing thing, it is getting oxygen and its brain is functioning off that oxygen. It is getting through the mother's connective tubing. Why can't I think of that? The word I'm looking for there. Yeah, but I'm sure you all know what I mean. I'm 25 minutes in now. I didn't expect to dwell on these things this long. How stupid have Americans become? That I've laid out is all logic, reason, common sense, actual science, not because I feel it shouldn't be that way. I'm going to pretend that it's not a child, that's somehow the real science. The other thing is life of the mother. I almost forgot this. This isn't the 1970s. You're seeing these ads on TV from the Democrats. The DNC convention, did you see that? I hope you did. I hope you watched it. I watched it. Woman and her baby and her husband come out. I almost died. I could have died. They told me I was going to die if I had this child that she's out there holding. Both she and the baby alive. They made the pro-life argument right there. This isn't the 70s, like Life of the Mother, as C. Everett Koop, Surgeon General, said. The life of the mother thing is a fallacy. Modern medicine today, you rush a woman to a hospital if there's any threat that her life might be extinguished, that baby needs to come out, you do an emergency C-section. And preemies are living more and more at younger and younger development stages and ages. Doctors used to have the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. Well, killing a baby is certainly doing harm. The right thing to do, what we did for years, was the woman comes in, and again, now with modern medicine, it is much more practical and viable and realistic. Woman having issues, C-section out the child, put it in the incubator, try to save the child as well as repair the mother's body and save the mother. And the woman at the DNC convention was living proof of that very point. There she is complaining, I wasn't allowed to kill my child. I was supposed to die, but here I am because of the miracles of modern medicine. Me, my child, my husband. You made the pro-life point for us. But the left is too stupid to understand it and see it. And all these ads about, I could have died, or someone who did die, which had nothing to do with the Texas laws. It had to do with the medical system, again, not being prepared because of Roe v. Wade, that when the woman came in to do the emergency C-section and take care of both patients, when you remove the child, there is a chance it might die. But that is different of a premature child being tried to be saved, but life may extinguish, is wholly different than purposefully, willfully, and malice aforethought going in and murdering a living child on the excuse that maybe kind of sort of, the health of the mother, the mental health of the mother. Again, rape, incest, life of the mother, less than 1%. The left will never honestly deal in that. They want to protect the 99% because Planned Slaughterhood makes a lot of money, and the Democrats all get kickback and campaign contributions from that money. It's a money issue for the left. It is not an issue of morality because it's immoral. And the last thing, and I'm going along here now, 2 years ago, as I mentioned, I was on a show, I'm not going to give the name, but an idiot atheist. His whole shtick is inviting on Christians, which I was happy to go on a show to give it right back to him. I didn't get the chance to say the things I'm going to say to you because, of course, his whole deal is constantly attacking the Christian and trying to throw them off and throwing things up. And one of the things he brought up was, the donkey spoke. Do you really believe that a jackass can speak? Well, yeah, I see Democrats every day, so I know jackasses can speak without brains. And his argument is they don't have vocal cords. Well, what basic science class have you ever taken? All mammals have vocal cords. The lesser animals, the lesser mammals, their vocal cords aren't developed well enough to indeed spew linguistics, language, speak on an intellectual, intelligent level as we communicate back and forth with human language. That doesn't mean they don't have vocal cords. So his whole argument is specious from the get-go. But okay, let's take that further. That's why it's a divine miracle that the donkey spoke. The burning bush spoke. A bush has no vocal cords. Now that we can agree on. It was a divine miracle that God spoke through the burning bush. If you got a bush out in your backyard, go douse it with gasoline, light it on fire. Is it going to speak? No, unless God decides he wishes to indeed speak through that to you. It's a divine miracle. The same with the donkey. You know anyone that has a parrot? Obviously, a bird, a mammal, has vocal cords. Can it speak fluent English or Spanish or French or German or Russian or Chinese or whatever language? No, its brain and vocal cords aren't developed well enough to be able to do that. But we all know parrots can and do speak different languages. They learn those words from us as humans, and whether intelligently or not, or just pure mimicking for whatever reason, they decide that word or that couple pieces of words to make a little sentence is something I want to repeat back to mom and dad, and amaze the neighbors when they come over, whether you're teaching them to say mama, daddy, or swear words, whatever. It can speak. It can't speak in intelligent, thoughtful, full linguistics, obviously, but it can speak. So again, denies the stupidity of the idiot atheist point. And again, atheism, you've heard me say, is a religion. They believe they are God. Scientific theory, the theory of evolution, is just that. It's a theory. They have a belief in that. That is their religion. They believe that. They can't prove that. Science, there's scientific theory, then there's scientific fact that you can actually go into the lab and reproduce over and over and over. There is no way anyone in science is ever going to throw a bunch of elements together in a primordial soup and heat it up and wait a million years to see if something comes crawling out of it or not. So that is scientific theory, as opposed to other things that can be proven over and over that make up scientific fact. They too are engaging in a faith, not science, as they like to try to pretend it. I was going to say one other thing. Let me think here. I don't want to hit stop on the record yet while I'm trying to think of that. But again, yeah, the burning bush thing and the donkey, those are divine intervention miracles, not the donkey itself deciding, oh, all of a sudden I can speak Aramaic or whatever language, or Latin or Greek or Hebrew, right? That's not what happened. But of course, the idiot atheist tries to contend that. And again, that is every bit of faith as any other religion is. They just have different sets of theories and things that can and cannot be proven. But, yeah, oh yeah, I was going to make the jackass joke again, right? So, yeah, can a jackass talk? Yeah, Democrats do it every day. Literally, can a donkey, can a jackass talk? In theory, yes. Scientific reality is they have vocal cords. Oh, yeah, I thought of it now. How many videos have you seen? YouTube, the kitty cat, say mama, and the cat goes, mama, mama. They have vocal cords. They're capable of speech, but normally it indeed doesn't happen. But they are capable. A dog and a cat is intelligent enough to learn that, and at times indeed engage in speech. Again, they're not intelligent enough to put together a whole dictionary and speak back and forth to us as language. But all mammals, again, have vocal cords. They make noises. That is their language. That is their speech. Dolphins, whales, we know all these things talk back and forth to one another, whether they're exact verbal wordings or not, but they convey messages based on their tones, their sounds. That is their speech, their language. So can they talk? Yes, they do. Just because we don't understand what's coming out of them doesn't mean they're not speaking, because they're not speaking English or Spanish or German or Russian or Chinese. Again, whatever. So I'm glad I thought about the dogs and cats thing, which is, I wrote a piece on Before It's News about the thing in Springfield, Ohio. They want to poo-poo that all. There are witnesses to the events that they have been killed and eaten. All right, but let's put that aside. Not all of them are lying. Most people want to cover that up because it's too icky to think about. Ignore that. That's not even the point. On record, the ducks and gooses, the Canadian geese from the ponds being hunted, harvested, and eaten, that's unrefuted. The cat-dog thing is still semi-refuted, but the left, the news media, want you to believe all of those who swore in a police report a crime if they are falsifying testimony. That is perjury. Could one or two of these people just make something up? Yes. Could they just be repeating what someone else actually did see and reported to try to hyperbolize or exaggerate the amount that it's happening? Yes. Is it happening every day? No. That's a straw man. Nobody is saying that. Has it not happened at all, like the left and the press is trying to allege? Well, according to people who swore on police reports, it has happened at least once or twice. To say it's happening every day is stupid. It's idiotic. It's not true. But to say it didn't happen at all, ever, not even once, is also idiotic, stupid, and clearly lying based on an agenda of the left. But throw that all out. I was on Rick Walker's Maverick News, Ontario, Canada. I think it was about a month ago, right when the whole Springfield, Ohio story came up. And I said, just for sake of argument, throw that all out and say it indeed is completely untrue. It completely misses the point, and the left wants to continue to focus on our cats and dogs being eaten to deflect and distract from 20,000 Haitians that, under a technicality, they are illegal, but under a technicality, the Biden administration has granted them temporary status. So the left says they're legal migrants. No, they aren't. They were illegal who were granted a temporary status. Kind of quasi-legal, but still quasi-illegal. Forget all that. 20,000 immigrants of any kind for any reason in a town that has 60,000 people, all of a sudden 1/3 more of your population is there. They can't handle it. They can't handle it. The schools can't handle it. The hospitals can't handle it. The restaurants can't handle it. The housing issue can't handle it. There's not enough housing for American citizens. That's why we're in the housing crisis we're in. But yet 25 million illegals flooding the nation somehow doesn't make the matter worse, like came up in the VP debate, as J.D. Vance rightly pointed out. The moderators, again, 3-on-1, ganging up on the Republican. Where is your proof that illegals are driving up the cost of housing? Hey, stupid. It's common sense. Take an economics class. It's basic supply and demand. There already wasn't enough supply for the demand of Americans, and you put 25 million more people, there's even less supply. So yes, that puts upward pressure on prices of homes and rents because there's not enough places to house them all. At any rate, I can see I'm over, so I am going to indeed cut it short here. You know, I don't like to go more than an hour, very max. I don't even like to do an hour very often. But all of these connect, all of these things relate. The left always lies. I deal with you from the biblical in whole Bible, the full context of all and every one of these issues. The Bible says heaven has a gate. It has a door. That is your immigration model. Everyone must come in through the gate, through the front door with permission. You don't get to just go and break into heaven. You do not also get to then just break into the United States. And I'm tired of hearing these news knuckleheads. What term did Walls use the other day? Yeah, I think it was knucklehead, right? Yeah, sometimes I'm the knucklehead. Well, these knuckleheads on the news, they're not criminals. They haven't broke. It is against the law to come into the United States or any other country without permission of that country to come in. The proper paperwork, or to be invited, to have that green card, to have the passport, to have a visa. You have to have permission to come in. It is a violation of law. So I'm tired of people saying, well, these illegals aren't all criminals. By definition, each and every person who came into this country without prior proper permission is a criminal because they broke our criminal code. They broke our law. By definition, 100% of illegal aliens are criminals. The other 15,000 murderers, known murderers here, are also additional criminals. Known rapists, also known additional criminals. Those who killed Kate Steinle and Molly and countless others committing other additional criminal acts. But their very act of being here makes them a criminal. 100% of them are criminals. Language matters, and we've got to stop letting the left warp and twist it. They are illegal aliens. That's by law. That's the term in the law. They're not undocumented immigrants. They are illegal alien criminals. Okay, I am going to actually completely finally wrap it up. I know there are more things. I could probably ramble on with you for 3 hours on this. And I apologize that, again, I've got animated. I joke about that all the time, right? A lot of these shows are turning into the network movie, right? I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. And frankly, we need more people who are indeed going to finally wake up, see what's going on, and be mad as hell and not going to take it anymore. Because if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Now, that isn't a biblical prophet, but Rush, the rock group, in that sense, are speaking very Christian, biblically wise. You must sow to reap. If you're not sowing good, you are complicit in the evil that is reaped by what others have sown. Please go back and check out the episode with Christopher Armstrong Stevenson. We go into that more because I don't have time to keep going down that rabbit hole here. Shall be known by your fruits. I've said it before, posted on social media all the time. 2 Chronicles 7:14. Pray Turn from wicked ways, I shall hear and help heal your land. Turn from wicked ways demands of us an action to at least try to turn our nation from its wicked ways, and God will hear in heaven and help us heal our land, not just wave a magic wand. So no, prayer alone is not enough, which is another show, another thelibertybeacon.com piece you can look. Is prayer alone enough? No, there are actions commanded of us in the Bible that many people want to overlook and just pretend, well, if they sit on their couch all day, every day, do nothing but just pray, they're good. You're missing other parts of the Bible. And this shows the whole Bible in full context. We must act or we are complicit in the evil. As Edmund Burke said, only thing necessary for evil prevail is good peoples do nothing. Again, not a biblical scholar, but a very biblical statement. And I go into his quote as well as many others in my ChristiTutionalist Politics 2 book, the quotations chapter. I hope you'll pick up a copy of that. And I don't have time to go down all these other rabbit holes that we could take 3 hours doing. But these are important things to discuss with you and your friends and others. Again, community is biblical. Communism is not. The Bible in full context. We need to be real Christians, real biblical Christians, and vote biblically and act biblically. Not just whine, moan, and complain. We must act. Silence isn't violence, like the left says, but silence is indeed complicit in the evil that others are trying to force upon us. Again, communism, force, edicts, dictates, theft, redistribution, forced by the barrel of a gun, dictating to you what you can and can't do. That's not biblical community. I know I could go on for 3 hours, and again, I apologize. I've gotten animated again, but please, 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 again, I'm begging you, read How Stupid Have Americans Become, Part 1 at thelibertybeacon.com. Drops on October 12th, the same day as this ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast show. And I'm begging of you, please read the Bible in full context and understand we as Christians must act. You have to at least vote. 30 to 50 million not registered or don't vote. They couldn't cheat enough if all our supposed fellow Christians read the Bible and understood Jesus was involved in politics. In fact, my friend Neil Mammon, who will be on the show coming up, co-founder of Every Black Life Matters, because a black-lying Marxist is not for black life. Therefore, supporting Planned Parenthood and Margaret Sanger's, more than 50% of all babies still murdered in this country are black, because Sanger wanted to eliminate what she called the human weeds, the blacks as well as others, yes, but mainly black people. My friend Bruce Flory, his book, The Negro Project, read that. Neil Mammon, Jesus is involved in politics. Why aren't you? Why isn't your church? Don't just read my books. I urge you to read those books also. Get those, my books and those books, for your friends before this election. This is all very important. As I wrote on Before It's News, is it too late? As Reagan said, are we a nation gone under? Right? He said, if we become a nation no longer under God, then we are truly a nation gone under. Said every election, the most important election of our lifetime, well, this time it really is. The point of no return is here. Are we going to roar, restore our American Republic, or are we indeed going to be another shithole communist nation? And as Reagan said, we lose freedom here. There's nowhere left to go. Thank you all. I know I could think of a million other things, but indeed, I am signing off. Thank you all. Take care. God bless. Please like, share, subscribe. Put the show in an email to your friends and family. Send it even to people you hate and people that hate you, right? They already hate you. But maybe, just maybe, one or two of them might tune in if they at least call themselves a Christian and want to tune in to see what this show is about. And maybe, just maybe, we can finally reach them and get them back into their Bible in full context. Thank you all. Take care. God bless. This is a special tack-on segment for a couple of shows to let you know about some August, September, October, potentially out into November shows. If you're looking behind the scenes, you can see I've got my I Remember Never Forget 9/11 shirt on and the 9/11 background, since we're going to be talking about things that will drop over September, October, this being August when I'm recording. And Hadassah Troy will be on, and she talks about how painful experiences become the birthplace of blessings. That's her book. How does Garth Brooks, I'm getting dyslexic with his name. How does Garth Brooks' Unanswered Prayers song relate? Hope you'll tune in to find out, as well as Star Trek V, the movie. How does that relate? I hope these little teases mean you'll tune in when it drops, or depending on where this additional segment gets tacked on, may have already dropped in August, so please check it out. Another, I should say, August drop will be David Shine, holding up the note there. David Shine is the best-selling author of Bad Deal for America and The Decline of America, 100 Years of Leadership Failures. Obvious tie-in to the politics part of the ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast show. And in September, or going forward, loosely planned for September, October timeframe, M.H. Ulrich comes on, and we talk also, not another movie reference in there, but I hope you'll check in to find out how the discussion with her brings up C.S. Lewis, but Star Trek again. Right. Likely 2 episodes in a row or an episode apart. This time, Star Trek, the original series, an episode called Parallel. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the old series, they go to a planet and they worship the sun. They assume it's S-U-N, the sun above. But as you get to the end, you find out it is Christ having visited another planet, the Son of God on another planet, which is really kind of blows my mind, knowing that Gene Roddenberry was an atheist, that such an episode would have even been remotely allowed and considered. But, you know, I want to give him credit. There were a wide variety of topics covered by that show. So please tune in to the M.H. Ulrich episode to find out how that Star Trek episode factors in. If you recall, if you've been with me a long time, last year, 9/11, I had on my friend from Wham Radio, Your American Heritage Show, Ed Bondarenka. I plan
for now, that episode again will drop a new one, not a repeat, a new one on 9/11 with Ed Bondarenka. But it is not, while we'll touch on that somber Remembrance Day, it is not a show dedicated to that. But I just thought that was a logical day time frame to have him back on, since he was on last 9/11. Leslie Hall. Now think Leslie Nielsen. By Leslie, we're talking a male here. Leslie Hall, and a great conversation with him. And we talk MLK in there, and we talk about addiction. So that's an important show. I hope you'll tune in. We need a youth perspective, so I've got a couple coming up. Christopher Armstrong Stevenson, a young man, a high schooler, will be on so that we could talk a youth perspective. A Zoomer to Boomer. I use that word term advisedly. You'll see why a little later. Eddie Yuda Man, man with two N's though, but you know me, I can't pass the lame pun, so I call him Eddie Yuda Man, will be on. He's a Christian music singer-songwriter. I'm going to have a few of them on, so I hope you'll tune in for that. William R. Douglas, I'm holding up to the camera my notes from that. The Sum of All Our Anger, Civil War 2.0, book cover. You can see if you're looking behind the scenes. Obviously, with all that's going on, and my friend Michael Gardner, aka Savage, who wrote the book America's Political Battle, a current civil war in terms of a cold civil war. We're in a battle. We're in a civil war. It's just not shooting at each other yet. Whereas William, his book goes into the what if it turns hot over the next few years. His, like my Terror Strikes book, is historical fiction. There is some fact, some fiction that lends credence to the fact that these issues boil over, may lead to a hot civil war. Another singer-songwriter, Richard Lynch, will be on. We will be mentioning a few. Barry Gibb, Conway Twitty. Tune in to find how they factor into that episode. Christine Sposato. Hey, we're both Italiano, so we joke Italian desserts. But seriously, you've heard me talk about conservatives being censored on school campuses, and she indeed created a group, studentvoicessilence.com, so we will talk further about that. Another singer-songwriter, Robert Ross, will be on. If you don't have to like country, you shouldn't have to like country to tune in, but if you are a country fan, obviously you really want to tune in to find out how and why Freddie Fender, David Allan Coe get mentioned in the episode, as well as I lost my place. Looking, Conway Twitty again, George Jones, and Vern Gosdin. He brought that name up. That was a name I hadn't heard in a long time, so please tune in for that. Robert Boog. Ever since I was in high school, we heard the rumor and conspiracy theory that William Shakespeare didn't write his stuff. I venture into that discussion with Robert Boog. James Gebhardt is on, and in Who is Babysitting Whom, we've talked about honor your mother and father, right? Who is the parent? The left wants your children to be wards of the state. This is why they hate and want to destroy Christianity. That honor your mother and father part is in the way of their turning all children of the nation into wards of the fascistic state. Remember, I've talked before, Hitlery and the warping of It Takes a Village, which is biblical, not Hitlery's It Takes the Fascistic State warped version of it. Michelle Jewsbury, if you remember, I had Trent Brock on in the past. He has a chapter in a book about survivors, hardships in life. Michelle Jewsbury has got a volume 1 out, volume 2, 3, 4 will be coming, collections of survivors of hardships, so people know they are not alone. And indeed, there may be, hopefully is, they're not alone, there is help, there can be light at the end of the tunnel or around the corner. I mentioned Zoomers to Boomers. If you see behind the scene there, you see a little logo there, Zoomers to Boomers. Roger Landry of the Liberty Beacon Project, again, I write for thelibertybeacon.com. I am on TLB Talk. That's all part of the TLB Project. He's founder of that. He has a show with a young lady, not going to turn 18 soon, but not yet. So a young lady, hence Zoomers to Boomers. They have a show together. So again, we get that youth perspective here that's much needed. And lastly, I'm going to mention Luann Hunt, another singer-songwriter. If you're at all a Patsy Cline fan, or your parents or your grandparents were a Patsy Cline fan, you want to turn into I cannot talk. You want to tune into that show to see how Patsy Cline has factored into Luann Hunt's life. And Patsy Cline kind of lives on now through Luann Hunt. Thank you all. Just wanted to give you a brief sneak peek at coming midweek Wednesday guest appearance drops. Take care. God bless.
I am Joseph M. Leonard, the host of ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast. Hoping you will tune in every weekend. Also hoping you will watch for the companion ChristiTutionalist Politics book, Politics from a Christian-based U.S. constitutionalist perspective. Thank you all. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast and share episodes. We need your help to grow the show. Thank you for having tuned in for ChristiTutionalist Politics show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via TerrorStrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff. No fancy high production intro or inserts, at least yet, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless.